Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this morning. We're going to be taking a look at today's three-game NBA slate, talking NBA player props over on PrizePicks. My name's CJ. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We just limped our way past 6,000 subscribers, so I appreciate everybody out there who has subbed. Those of you who continue to show up, those of you who continue to smash that like button, our daily goal, 99.5 likes. A little harder to come by, it seems, now that I've been starting these streams at 10 a.m. Eastern time instead of 11 a.m. Eastern time. But, maybe the hashtag replay gang will help pick up the slack. So, again, appreciate everybody being here. If you don't play on PrizePicks yet, it's a fantastic time to get signed up. 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit all the way up to $100, meaning if you drop 100 bones into PrizePicks for the very first time, they're going to give you 100 bones on top of that, giving you 200 smackaroos for you to go have some fun playing some player props over on PrizePicks. Use promo code Curry to take advantage of that. If you want that deal, you got to use promo code Curry. I've left a link for you down in the description of today's video, so definitely give it a look. Appreciate everybody who's joining me here this morning. Seeing a lot of Patreon gang members up in here. No, they're not gang members. They're just part of the Patreon gang. And they're members. They're not, never mind. Tony Ruiz is in the building. Good morning to you. Taco Tuesday is here. Yes, he makes a very valid point. Today is Taco Tuesday, so be on the lookout in the official PrizePicks Discord for the taco bar voting. They also been holding taco voting out on Twitter. So check out Twitter as well, at PrizePicks, and make sure that you're plugged in. Make sure that you're casting your vote for your favorite players, your favorite Taco Tuesday props, and get us a good discount so that we can win, hopefully, an easy prop on one of our entries tonight. But he says, happy Taco Tuesday, and what a day yesterday all around as a group. Picks a lot of in green in the Patreon. Appreciate you shouting out Patreon. As always, smash the like button while coming in. Yeah, we had some good MLB plays. We had some good NBA plays. We had a couple of guys that sold us short. Dwight Powell ended up with 4 rebounds somehow, even though he was at 5 rebounds at one point. They took one of his rebounds away. And so that stat correction ended up hurting a lot of folks, including yours truly. And then I had Shane Bieber going over strikeouts. He was at 6.5, ended up with 6. Had a chance there at the end, right before he got pulled, to get a final strikeout for us. What did he do? He gave up another home run to Ward, his second home run of the night. So, ouch. Shane Bieber hurt me in terms of strikeouts. Dwight Powell hurt me with that stat correction on his rebounds. But that was yesterday. We look to forge ahead, move forward today, and see if we could go ahead and take advantage of those prop discounts that Taco Tuesday brings. Jimmy Green's ready for some Taco Tuesday. He says, let's eat. Best of luck today. As always, smash the like button on your way in. Appreciate that. He also feels that Trae Young's going to be getting 30 points tonight. Trae Young's going to be getting 30 points tonight. Wow, okay. We'll see what happens. We'll see. DeQuante's in the building. He says, I don't know about Trae. T-Bone, good morning to you. The chef has something to say, so I just suggest that you pay attention. Desmond's in the building. Drew Bree says, let's have a great Taco Tuesday. Good morning, Patreon gang. Good morning back to you, Mr. Breeze. We got everyday fantasy in here as well. He says, great night, gang. Good morning, everybody. For me today, take the under outside of Memphis and Minnesota. Let's smash these tacos today. Thanks to all the Patreon contributions, man. I wouldn't trade this, gang. No way. Well, I appreciate you saying all those kind words, my friend. Mr. C3P's in the building. He says, what's good, gang? Taco Tuesday. A lot of money to get today. Chris Smith feeling some pain from yesterday. Pascal Siakam sold him short. 0.5. He lost a prop on Pascal Siakam by the hook. You never want to lose by the hook. That's the worst way, I think. I'd rather lose by a lot than lose to the hook. Wesley Winston's in the building. He says, yo, boss man. Yo, back to you, Wes. Thanks for being here. DeQuante's in the building. How long has everyone been playing PrizePicks? For me, over a year. Well over a year, for sure. We got King United here. He says the CSGO Taco's about to win this morning. Okay, I haven't looked at that just yet. Ricky Carroll's here. Good morning to you. Rocky Hustle, Dwight Powell rebound killed me as well. Yeah, I hear you. Kyle Cass says, we killed it on MLB. Yeah, it's going to be a fun summer, I think. Once NBA starts to kind of wind down, people are going to be like, what's next, right? What's next? What are we going to start playing? I'm going to be playing MLB, man. I've already gotten a head start. I'm trying to perfect my MLB craft so that whenever NBA is fully out of season, I'll be ready to go playing some baseball. Chris Smith is here. He says the taco is voting now. Looks like it's going to be a CSGO taco. Ricky Carroll says Brandon Ingram points this morning. Anyone for the over? Perhaps. We'll have to take a look at that. King, thanks for being here. Hunter Scott says, give me a Brandon Ingram taco. Okay, I can get down with that. Gardy Gaston's in the building. Feeling the Siakam pain. Vincent Jefferson says Trey is getting locked up tonight. Wow. Lord De Niro's in the building. He's ready to go, talking some tacos. We got Nick Sarau in here. He says, good morning. It's been a minute since I get to go live. Well, welcome back. Welcome back. All right. Well, let's take a look at today's NBA slate here. We got a couple of few different playoff games, obviously. We got the first one starting. It's Atlanta at Miami, 217.5 points between these two teams. Just a 7-point spread between the two ball clubs here. Obviously, Atlanta, they're really starting to feel the pressure here. You know, something's got to give. You know, will Trae Young be clamped down again? I mean, he's kind of been locked up for most of this series so far. So we'll have to see what happens with Trae Young going against Miami tonight. But it's been a tough series. It's always tough, Trae Young facing this Miami Heat team. But as far as injury news, it looks like we got Clint Capella, Bogdanovich, and Lou Williams all as game time decisions. So definitely keep your eye out on those guys. I expect them all to play, but you never know with the NBA. You just never know. Looks like Kyle Lowry is already ruled out for Miami. PJ Tucker and Martin, both game time decisions. So we might be seeing some more Gabe Vincent in the backcourt for the Miami Heat. Moving on to game number 2, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Memphis Grizzlies. This one's got the highest total of all 3 games on today's slate, 232.5 points between these two teams. It's a 6-point spread. Nothing really crazy happening in terms of injury news. I mean, we've seen Steven Adams pretty much be phased out of this, man. He is not a factor in this series any longer. Steven Adams, for whatever reason, just not a good scheme, not a good fit for him. So Steven Adams no longer a factor. It looks like it's going to be Jaren Jackson Jr., Kyle Anderson holding down the front court. Then you got Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bane on the wings with Ja Morant running point, obviously. Then on the other side, it'll be Pat Bev, D'Angelo Russell, Ant Edwards, Jared Vanderbilt, and Karl Anthony Towns. So that's your highest scoring game of the night. And then last but not least, the 10 o'clock New Orleans Pelicans Phoenix Suns matchup. Just 215 points on the board between these two teams. This is your lowest scoring game of the night. 6-point spread. It's favoring the Phoenix Suns, as it should. They are typically the better team. As far as injury news goes, the big one is Devin Booker. He's still out. He is sidelined, dealing with injuries. So the projected starting lineup for the Phoenix Suns is going to be Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and DeAndre Ayton. Now, I don't know if Shamet's truly going to start. I believe they've been starting Cam Johnson, so just keep an eye on that starting lineup. That could impact things there. Otherwise, same old for the New Orleans Pelicans. So let's get down to business and talk some of these props. We're going to be starting things off by looking at the points. I think I'm just going to try and stick to the stars. You know, stick to the big names. Try to figure out what to do with these guys, going over or under. And we'll talk about most of the big names as far as points, props, assists, rebounds, PRA, and 3-point makes. Because, listen, there's a lot of props, a lot of different ways to go. But I want to stick to the ones that a lot of people are probably going to be playing, which is going to be your stars, like your Trae Youngs, your Jimmy Butlers, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, we'll get into that. Give me just one moment. Because my dog's barking his head off. Let me go check on him. I will be right back. I've never done this before. Be right back. All right, I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. But when he's barking, he's loud, and it's very, very distracting to say the least. I see you guys already talking about Trae Young, though, so let's get to Trae Young real quick. You guys are mentioning the 24 and a half points, and you're wanting to go under. I can't blame you there, Mr. Don P, a.k.a. Everyday Fantasy. Trae Young at 24 and a half points. We've talked about it. Trae Young's been struggling this series, so let's take a look at Ice Trae Young today and see if he's got a shot here. I mean, it's kind of like the Kevin Durant situation last night, right? Like, he's going to either have to show up and show that the Atlanta Hawks have some sort of fight in them. Either that or he's going to go home, right? Back's against the wall. But, Trae Young isn't Kevin Durant. I know there's a lot of Trae Young fans out there, but he's not KD. So let's take a look at the last 5 games here. More importantly, the last 4 games, obviously against Miami. At 24 and a half points, we have a little bit of a harder decision here, a tougher time with 24 and a half points on PrizePicks. Why do I say that? Well, if it was like, the sports books where he's at 25.5 points, I think the, decision would be a little easier. We go under. But with Trae Young here in this Miami series, he's had games of 8 points, 9 points, and then he's had games of 24 and 25. So he's covered once at 24.5 points, one time out of his last 4 games against the Miami Heat. So that's just a 25% hit rate. So I'm kind of feeling, the under here on Trae Young. He just hasn't shown the ability to really get the job done. Now we go and take a look at what he's done against Miami this season. So we've got a total now of 8 games in the game logs, Trae Young versus the Heat. We see that in those games, he has gone over in just 3 of 8. The highest point total he's had is 35 points. That was at Miami, a road game. And the lowest he's had is 8 points, which was game 1 of this very series. So we scroll down here and take a look. I want to get an idea of the minutes for Trae Young. I mean, game 1, he had just 28 and a half minutes logged. Games 2 and 3, he played over 40 minutes. Game 4, just 35.5 minutes. So we're going to need Trae Young to be out there as much as possible. And with elimination looming, I would expect Trae Young to be out there running around doing as much as he can. Now we look at the field goal attempts for him. 12, 20, 14, and 11. We would ideally like him to be at the 15 to 20 field goal attempt mark if you're looking to take the over here. But it has not been the case for him. He has shot 15 or less field goal attempts in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 8 games against Miami. So he's not putting up a high volume amount of shots. Now, when he does, he typically does hit his point prop. As far as 3-point attempts go, we've seen those kind of all over the place for him. In this series, 7. He went 0 for 7 in game 1. Just 2 for 10, 2 for 6, and 3 for 10. So it's been hard to trust him for any of his overs on 3-point props as well. So I'm kind of with you guys on the under on Trae Young here. But he's going to have to come out as a desperate man and do desperate things. So we'll have to see how many minutes he plays and, how many shots he attempts and so on and so forth. Could be asking a lot. Could definitely be asking a lot. So let's go ahead and take a look at the points given up by the Miami Heat over the last 7 games here. We know that they've been doing an excellent job against Trae Young. They're giving up just 21 and a half points over the last 7 games. That puts them down 7th fewest. So this is a very tough matchup for Trae Young going up against this Miami Heat squad. It's no secret. The Heat kind of have Trae Young's number this season. Now, as far as the projection goes, I do have him projected for 33 points. The projection models like him to go over, but you've seen the historical game logs, Trae Young versus Miami. It's been tough sledding. It's been a tough go of things for him. He is at 25.5 out on the various sports books. If we got him at 25.5 on PrizePicks, I'd feel pretty good about going under. 24.5 might be a little bit uncomfortable, but I guess gun to head, if you maybe decide, I would say that we should probably be thinking about going under, right? As has been the case with Trae Young. Let's flip it over to the other side of this game and talk about a star from the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler. He's kind of been the opposite of Trae Young. He's actually had some very good games here in this series. So Jimmy Butler's going to be playing without Kyle Lowry. So let's take a look at Jimmy Butler's last 5 games here. All 5 of them against the Atlanta Hawks. He's had some pretty nice scoring outputs. We bump him down to 25.5. His last 5 game logs don't really change all that much. He's still sitting at a 40% hit rate. In this series, he has gone over his points prop of 25.5 in 2 out of 4 games. So he's at a 50% hit rate. Against Atlanta this season at 25.5 points, he, kind of like Trae Young, doesn't really have a consistent looking game log, right? We've seen him go over in 2 out of the 7 times that he's met this Atlanta Hawks team. Just a 29% hit rate when we look at it over the course of the season. Some of you folks, you've been playing the Jimmy Butler PRA. You've been playing Jimmy Butler for fantasy. So maybe that's the better way to go for Jimmy Buckets. Maybe we don't want to go purely on points because, I mean, sometimes he scores 13 or 20. Sometimes he scores 36 or 45. You never really know what you're going to get with Jimmy Butler when it comes to the scoring department. So I'm not sure how to feel there about Jimmy Butler. As far as his minutes in this series so far, he had 33 in game 1, shot up to 39 and 40 in games 2 and 3. And then the last time we saw him out on the floor, he put up 36 and a half minutes. The field goal attempts have definitely been there for Jimmy Butler. He's attempted 15 or more field goal attempts in every game this series. 15 in game 1, 25 in game 2, 20 in game 3, and 21 in game 4. So the last 3 games, he has shot the ball 20 or more times. So the shot opportunities are going to be there for Jimmy Butler. It's just a matter of him capitalizing. In other words, he's got to make the shots that he takes. And in some cases, it's been tough. 8 for 20 in game 3. Not a good shooting night there. Overall, though, 57%, 60%, 60%. I mean, he's shooting a pretty good percentage. Game 3, not a very good shooting night for him. As far as three-point attempts, he's not going to take a whole lot of them. He did shoot 7 in game 2, 5 in game 3, but he's hard to trust when it comes to any type of three-point prop. Again, just very inconsistent with his scoring, his three-point shots. So I would probably play him for like a PRA or fantasy type of prop. His fantasy points have been pretty good from what I can remember. So if you don't trust him purely on points, I can't blame you there. I cannot blame you. As far as small forwards against the Hawks, Hawks do give up a healthy 26.5 points, nearly 27 points per game over the last 7 games to small forwards. That is the 4th highest average to the position in that 7-game span. So the matchup is definitely right for Jimmy Butler. We just need him to be a little bit more consistent, right? We want some consistency. Usually out of these veterans, you get consistency, but the Miami Heat do have a lot of mouths to feed. They got a lot of talent on their roster. So some nights Jimmy Butler is a pass first type of guy. Some nights he's taking control and he's looking to get his shot off, but you never know. You never know. So it's been hard to trust Jimmy Butler for a point prop. But anyway, his projected points tonight, 24.4. They suggest we go under. We're seeing him at 25.5 points as a betting favorite to go over on most sports books. We're even seeing him at 26.5 points as a betting favorite to go under. So 25.5 to 26.5 points out on most of your sports books. The fact that he's at 26.5 on some of these books, some of these sites, leads me to believe that they think 26 to 27 points is a possible outcome here for Jimmy Butler. So we are getting a little bit of value at just 25.5 on Jimmy Buckets. Let's go ahead and jump forward here. Let's talk about this next game. We got, obviously a couple of stars here. We've got Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell. And then over on the Memphis side, we've got Ja Morant, Desmond Bane. Those are probably your most popular options from tonight. Let's start with Karl Anthony Towns and look at his 23.5 points. You want to talk about a guy that's been inconsistent. You want to talk about a guy that's been hard to trust. You're looking at him, the big cat, Karl Anthony Towns. Now his problem, the thing that's been plaguing him in this series is the foul trouble, really. That's the only thing that's really been holding him back. We know the talent's there. I think the matchup is definitely there for him as well, but it's been the foul trouble that's been hindering Karl Anthony Towns in his production so far. So let's take a look at his points prop. Starting with game 1, he had 29 points. Nice start to the series. But then, like I said, limited minutes due to foul trouble, 15 points in game 2, 8 points in game 3. He comes back with a resounding 33 points in his last game. So the story with Karl Anthony Towns is not his ability, not his talent or anything like that. It's not the matchup. It's, can he get through the game without getting into foul trouble. I think that's really what it comes down to. We take a look at the minutes here. There's a direct correlation. When he's out there for 40 or more minutes, he hits his points props. Plain and simple. Plain as day. 42.9 minutes in game 1, 42.4 minutes in game 4. He hits his points props in those games. The 2 games in between, just 28 and 32, nearly 33 minutes, he did not hit his points prop because he was not out on the floor. You can see the field goal attempts. When he's out there playing a healthy amount of minutes, 18. 17 field goal attempts. When he is in foul trouble, 7 and 4 field goal attempts. And just to further solidify my point here, we go take a look at his fouls. You could see in game 1, he kept the fouls in check with just 3. You could see in game 4, he kept the fouls in check with just 3. The games where he missed his points props in the series, 5 fouls in both of those games. 5 fouls back on February 24th as well. So he's got to keep his nose clean. You could see he missed his point prop on February 24th. It's all about controlling the fouls. Keep your hands to yourself. And you'll be fine, Karl Anthony Towns. You'll be fine. So we'll jump ahead here. We'll look at Karl Anthony Towns in this matchup. Listen, it's a great matchup for Cat. 28.4 points allowed by the Memphis Grizzlies. That's the 5th highest point per game total allowed to the center position in the last 7 games. Everyday Fantasy says Karl Anthony Towns fantasy points could be the better way to go. Well, you could go there as well. They're giving up over 57 fantasy points per game as well to opposing centers. So I wouldn't be mad at you taking the fantasy score on Karl Anthony Towns, but 23.5 points, he'll crush that as long as he stays out of foul trouble. That's really up to the referees to some degree. You know, they've been blowing the whistles quite a lot in a lot of these playoff series, but as long as Karl Anthony Towns is out there getting 40 or so minutes, I'm taking the over at 23.5. But we really can't control or predict when a guy is going to get into foul trouble, can we? So that's the conundrum that we're in with Karl Anthony Towns on most nights. His projection's very nice, though, at 28.1 projected points. He is also a betting favorite to go over 23.5 points on most of your sports books out there. So if you think Karl Anthony Towns keeps his nose clean, stays out of foul trouble, stays off of the bench due to fouls, then I would say you consider taking the over at 23.5 points. Now, from the flip side of this game, we've got Ja Morant at 25.5. I believe, if memory serves me correct, Ja Morant did not have himself an ideal game the last time that he took the floor. And I'm talking about purely on points. Points strictly on points. So we take a look at what he's done against Minnesota this season at 25.5 points. He's only covered this prop in 25% of his games. He's 2 for 8. Listen, he was just named most improved player. Do you think he comes out there playing like the most improved player tonight? What do we think happens with Ja Morant? We like him. He's been a guy that we've taken his props for. Some of you guys have been going to his assist props. Maybe that's the better way to play Ja Morant. It's been hard. I'll admit, been hard to trust Ja Morant in this series so far. Again, he's another guy who came out of the gate swinging with 32 big points. Since then, we've seen his points, game over game, drastically fall off of a cliff here. So he goes from 32 in game 1 down to 23 in game 2, down to 16 in game 3, and then down to 11 the last time he took the floor. So what's going on with Ja Morant? Let's see if we have any answers here. Played 35 minutes in game 1, so the minutes were healthy there, ended up hitting the over. Just 29 minutes, we'll call it 30 minutes in game 2. He played 40 minutes. So the minutes were definitely there for him in game 3, and then 33.8 minutes in game 4. So it's been getting a healthy amount of minutes. Let's look at his field goal attempts here. Those have been good too. 18, 16, 18. Now 13, not ideal. We need that number to be a bit higher. 15 or more, 15 to 20 in that range would be ideal. But as far as his field goal percentage, has not been good the last couple of games. 28%, 31%. And one of the ways that Ja Morant helps pad his scoring stats is getting to the free throw line. Game 1, this guy got to the free throw line 20 times. He made 16 out of 20. 16 out of 20 free throw attempts in game 1. that definitely helped him hit his point prop. Since then, though, he's traveled to the free throw line just 4 times in game 2, 10 times in game 3, and then in game 4, he was 3 for 3 from the line. So again, this is another one of those situations where it's going to come down to the referees, the whistles, the fouls called in favor of Ja Morant. He's going to need to get to the free throw line, so it seems, for him to hit his point prop. The only time that he's hit his point prop, he got to the free throw line quite a bit. Back on this game, November 8th, 33 points. What does that game have in common? He went to the free throw line 12 times, knocked down 10 out of 12. So he's going to have to get to the free throw line. He's going to be having to convert on those free throws as well. If he's not getting to the line, if he's not making his free throws, he is not going to hit his points prop based on what we're seeing here against Minnesota this season. That is his path to success, to hitting the over on his points prop. If you think Ja Morant gets some favorable calls, if you think Ja's going to get to the free throw line, then you should be taking the over on his points prop because there's a direct correlation. Definitely a direct correlation there. Now, he will be playing at home tonight, so maybe he gets some favorable calls playing in front of the Memphis crowd. As far as the matchup goes, point guards in the last 7 games against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota's given up over 24 points per game to point guards, which is just outside the top 10. You can see where they rank closer to the top of the list. Toward the top means good matchup for Ja Morant. So I'm not really worried about the matchup a whole lot. Yeah, he's going to have Patrick Beverley up in his jersey all night long. It's going to be a tough game for Morant. But if he starts getting some of those foul calls and he finds himself getting to the free throw line 10 or more times, then he's got a shot here going over at 25.5. Now, his projection today is 30.1. That's a lot more than 25.5. At 26.5 points, that's where you're going to find him on all sports books today. We're getting a little bit of value here on PrizePicks at 25.5. At 26.5, though, that's the standard number for Ja Morant today. He's a point higher on all your sports books versus where he's at on PrizePicks. So, not really seeing much line movement, though, at 26.5. I guess you could say a little bit of action coming in on the under early this morning here. Minus 116 on FanDuel, minus 115 on Parks, minus 115 on BetRivers. So keep an eye on these lines today as the public starts to put their money down on some of these props. You'll start to see these lines shift and change throughout the day. So it's still early yet, but not seeing a whole lot of movement here on Ja Morant. Let's see here. What other props should we talk about? You guys are wanting to talk Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards at 23.5. We could talk about him real quick. Let's go with Ant. So I know he'll be another popular play. I think he fell short the last time. Am I wrong on that? Maybe it was 2 games ago. Could have been last game. Could have been 2 games ago. I'm not sure. I don't remember what his point prop was. Maybe he was at 24.5 a game ago. I don't know. He's at 23.5 today nonetheless. He's going up against Memphis. So far this season against the Grizzlies, he's 50%. He has hit the over in 23.5 points in 4 out of 8 games. In this series so far, he's also at 50%. He hit once in game 1, hit the last time he took the floor in game 4. So he had 36 and 24. So in between there, you got 20 and 19. So let's take a closer look at Anthony Edwards and see what's going on. 40 minutes, 34 minutes, 40 minutes, 37 minutes, getting healthy minutes, getting a healthy run. Let's look at the field goal attempts. Field goal attempts in game 1 were insane. He took 23 shots. They have since fallen off quite a bit. 16, 13, and 14. Decent field goal percentage in some of these games. 44%, 46%, and 50%. But we need to see him get back to some of this high volume, right? That would be an ideal scenario. Now, his three-point attempts, you could see, have started to taper off game over game. Started with 11 in game 1, down to 10, 9, and 8. But he continues to knock them down at a high clip. So if you don't feel good about Anthony Edwards' points, you should feel pretty good about his three-point makes, because in this series so far, he has knocked down 4 three-pointers in every single game. Unfazed by playing on the road, unfazed by playing at home. He doesn't care. He just keeps making threes, shooting a very good percentage from beyond the arc in this series. So if you feel some type of way about his points, not sure if you could trust him to score, I think the three-point makes are a very solid pivot, a very solid option for Anthony Edwards. As far as free throw makes go, been getting to the line, I guess, a decent amount. Had 8 in game 1, which really helped him get over his points prop. 6 in game 3, just 2 in game 2. And then game 4, he was 6 for 6 from the line. So again, another guy who has a correlation here. He has hit the points prop of 23.5 in games in which he does a good job getting to the line and knocking down the free throw opportunities in those games. 3 for 6 in game 3. Would he have went over had he shot a better percentage? No, still would have fell short. But anyway, yeah, Anthony Edwards could be a good look in terms of three-point makes. If they've got his prop up, yeah, he's at 3.5. I mean, he's hitting every single game this series. Eventually, all good things must come to an end, but he's hit 4 more threes in 4 straight games. So maybe you go there instead of the points. All right, let's move on from that game. Let's talk about the last one. A lot of you folks are talking about Brandon Ingram. Obviously, we got to talk BI. He deserves a little consideration and respect. So we're going to talk about Brandon Ingram. Looking like, this series so far, been a good one for Brandon Ingram. We thought coming out game 1, like it was going to be a long, tough series for Brandon Ingram, but he quickly turned things around, going game 2 and game 3 and game 4 for 30 or more points in all 3 of those games. So you can see he's got 6 matchups against Phoenix this season. He's hit the over in 67% of those games, 4 for 6. Dropping 37, 34, and 30 in his last 3 games. So he's definitely been scoring the rock a lot better here. We scroll down, there's not a lot to say about Brandon Ingram. The minutes have been healthy at 36, 37, 38, 39 minutes or more, playing a good amount of minutes. We know the shot opportunities will definitely be there. Starting to find his groove, shooting a pretty good percentage. Last 3 games, he has shot 21, 19, and 23 shots. That's over 20 field goal attempts on average in the last 3 games. If he continues to shoot the ball 20 plus times per game, then I think he'll have a very strong chance to hit the over at 26.5 points. Scrolling down here, looking at his 3-point attempts, probably wouldn't trust him for any 3-point props. He has hit 3 twice in this series, but he's also only hit 1 2 other times. So not the best pure 3-point shooter out there. Free throw attempts have been pretty good for him, though. I'm not sure what his free throw prop is today, if we even have one for Brandon Ingram, but he made 5 in game 1, 8 in game 2, 9 in game 3, 7 in game 4. So 8, 9, and 7 in his last 3 games. So that could be good. And he's been doing a good job of staying out of foul trouble. So, yeah, Brandon Ingram, again, if he's going to get out 20 shots, if he's going to get 20-plus shots up tonight again, then I think we continue to hit the over on Brandon Ingram's points at 26.5. Moving ahead here, taking a look at this matchup against Phoenix. Again, we thought coming out of game 1, Brandon Ingram might be in trouble in this series, going up against Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, but no. I think I have overcome those fears for Brandon Ingram. Phoenix, over the last 7 games, given up nearly 25 points per game to opposing small forwards. That's a healthy number, a healthy average given up. So I would say that Brandon Ingram is an above average scorer. So we're not really worried about the points or matchup on paper. As far as the projection goes, I got him projected for 27 points. That is more than 26.5. We're seeing most of the action at 26.5 coming in on the over, meaning they are betting the over. They think he's going to go for 27 or more points. I will say this, at 27.5 points, we are seeing the public take the under. So maybe he finishes with exactly 27 points. Between 26.5 and 27.5 points is 27. So Brandon Ingram looking like a pretty good option for you. Now, one guy that we've been going under on a lot of his props without Devin Booker is Chris Paul. I don't know if you have, but seemingly seems like the move to go under on Chris Paul's PRA or his points. We talked about this in the past, but we'll pull it up again and let you take a look for yourself here. Chris Paul did not have a great night last night the last time he took the floor. Did not have a great night scoring the basketball. He only finished with 4 points. Very unlike Chris Paul. So let's go to the season view real quick. Let's show you what happens when we take Devin Booker off the floor. In games without Devin Booker now, He's played a total of 10 of them this season. 10 games without Devin Booker. He is just 3 for 10. 30% at covering 20.5 points. Little pattern for him in here. You can see he went under, ended up hitting the over, under, hits the over, under, hits the over. I don't know. Just crazy. Hard to trust Chris Paul when it comes to points. I would say, if anything, if you're feeling, weird about it, not sure what to do with Chris Paul, I would say he seems to be more of a second half player. When he does get going, it's usually in the second half versus the first half. So maybe you take the under on some of his first half props or points. But yeah, without Devin Booker this season, he's just really been inconsistent. Just a 30% hit rate. So you can see what he's done against New Orleans without Devin Booker. Played 2 games. 28 in one game, just 4 points in the last game. You got to expect Chris Paul will respond and end up with a lot more than 4 points. I think he will. Let's see if we can get down to the bottom of the situation. Let's get to the heart of the matter here. What happened to Chris Paul in game 4? Well, the minutes were definitely there. He's been playing about 35, 36, upward to 40 minutes in a lot of these games. Minutes were healthy. We go and take a look at the field goal attempts. They just weren't there, man. He only shot the ball 8 times. And to boot, he was just 2 for 8. 25% field goal percentage. So for whatever reason, his field goal attempts were cut in half. He shot 16 times in game 1, 16 in game 2, 18 times in game 3. And then for whatever unexplicable reason here, he shot the ball just 8 times in game 4, went 2 for 8. I have no idea why he did that, what happened there. Was he in foul trouble? Let's go look at his fouls. That probably could have a reason, play a factor. He had 4 fouls in that game. Maybe he was dealing with some foul trouble and that impacted his, rhythm, possibly. But the minutes were there. I mean, he played 35 minutes. Healthy amount of minutes. Field goal attempts were just way down. He shot a terrible percentage. He was 0 for 3 from beyond the arc. So you can see his 3-point attempts, they were cut in half as well. Did not get to the free throw line. That's another factor. Just everything that could go wrong went wrong for Chris Paul. Let's just say that. No free throw attempts. 3-point attempts were cut in half. Field goal attempts were cut in half, basically. Although the minutes were there. So, I don't know. They just did a good job, or either that or he was just out of rhythm, just wasn't looking to get a shot. So maybe he bounces back tonight. We'll have to take a look and see. Point guards, though, against this New Orleans Pelicans team. Pelicans giving up about 25 points per game over the last 7 to point guards. So the matchup is definitely a friendly one. But Chris Paul, the games in which he has hit the over at 20.5 points without Devin Booker are few and far between. He just ain't doing it. He's just not doing it. He's hard to trust when it comes to a point prop. His projected points today, about 18 according to the action projection tool. At 20.5 points, though, we're seeing a lot of confidence in Chris Paul out there on the sports books, meaning the betting public thinks Chris Paul will bounce back in a big way. Minus 130 at DraftKings, minus 135 on BetMGM. Most of the action coming in on the over on every single sports book that I'm able to reference. So there you go. CP3, not a guy that I trust to hit the over. We'll talk about one more guy from this game, and we'll mention some CJ McCollum because I know a lot of you folks are probably going to want to play some McCollum. Let's talk about CJ McCollum here. We like Brandon Ingram. I think he's looking like a really solid way to go. Let's talk about CJ McCollum. We're getting him at 23.5 points. Those of us who play on PrizePicks. We look at the games against Phoenix this season. He is covered in 4 out of 8, 50%. Since joining the New Orleans Pelicans against the Phoenix Suns this season, he has hit the over on 23.5 points in 3 out of 6, so 50%. He is also 50% in this series. He hit in game 1 and game 3. Did not have the best game 4 with just 18. Came pretty close in game 2, finishing with 23. So let's take a closer look at CJ McCollum here. This series, he's playing a boatload of minutes. 43 in game 1, 40 in game 2, 40.7 in game 3, just 36.5 in game 4, however. So definitely had less minutes in game 4. We need him to stay up there around 40 minutes for him to have a crack at hitting the over at 23.5. Although his minutes were down, he did get a healthy amount of shots up. He attempted 21 field goals in game 4, finished with a field goal percentage of 38%, went 8 of 21. So the field goal attempts have definitely been there for CJ McCollum throughout this series. Field goal percentage, however, not so great. I mean, 36%. 39, 38. We'd like him to see him like he was in game 3, closer to 40 to 50%, ideally. 45 to 50%, let's just say. A couple more shots drop his way. He'll have a real good opportunity of going over 23.5. The 3-point field goal attempts have been good. 8, 10, 11, and 9. He's hit 3 or more threes in 1, 2, 3 out of 4 games this series. So perhaps, kind of like Anthony Edwards, if you don't trust his points, maybe you go with his 3-point prop instead. Did not get to the free throw line one time in game 4, so that definitely hurt his point output. He usually picks up, 3 or 4 points just from getting to the charity stripe. Did not get there just once. So moving ahead here, taking a look at this matchup, the Phoenix Suns in the last 7 games against point guards. As far as points allowed, they're giving up about 23 to 24 points. We round that up and call it 24. That's what CJ McCollum needs. He needs 24 to hit the over. So let's jump ahead and get you a projection on McCollum. I got him projected for 25 points, which is more than the 23.5. We're seeing him posted at 23.5 points on most sports books, but not a lot of line movement here this morning. We're not seeing a lot of action on the over or the under at 23.5 points. I would say right now at 23.5, the betting public leaning toward the over. The fact that we're seeing him at 24.5 points on a couple of these books, a couple of these different sites, that's a good thing. That's a 1-point value versus where he is at on PrizePicks. So there you go. There's some more points action for you. Let's jump ahead and talk about some assist props, gang. Starting things off by looking at the highest assist total. While we take a look at some of these assist props, give me an assist by slapping that like button if you haven't yet. We may not get the over at 99.5 likes, but darn it, we're going to try. We're going to give it the old college try, right? And with your help, I think we've got a shot, an opportunity to get there. So shout out to everybody joining me this morning. Appreciate you guys being here. Got some Scott Foster talk in the chat. Isaac says, drop a like for CJ grinding early in the AM. You know what it is, man. You know what it is. I'm out here grinding. We're out here grinding. The CSGO betting limit is $50. CSGO taco betting limit is $50. Are you guys saying that the taco is good? We liking the taco? I don't know anything about CSGO, so I'm leaning on you guys. Deco is good. All right. I trust you guys. Looking at some of these assist props, Brandon Ingram leading the way, 4.5 assists, 70%. You got Karl Anthony Towns at 70%, and Edwards at 3.5 assists, 60%. You got Kevin Huerter at 3.5 dimes at 60%. Trae Young sitting out there at 50%. He's been a under on his 8.5 assist prop for me in this series. D'Angelo Russell at 6.5 assists, 50%. Joe Val and McCollum also sitting at 50%. Which of these assist props are you guys feeling? Or, maybe you're not feeling any of them. Like I said, we've been going under on Trae Young's assists. Let's just take a peek at Trae Young here. Maybe we continue our under on Trae Young as far as points, assists, etc., etc. We bump him down to 8. because he's at 8 on PrizePicks. You can see things get a little more interesting when we bump him down in 8. There's a couple of games where he pushed this season against the Miami Heat, but he has only hit 9 assists in one game. 1 out of 8 has he gone over 8 assists. So I would continue to say lean toward the under here. Trae Young's just not going to be able to have one of those games where he's dropping 10 or more dimes. It's just not going to happen. He has to score. He has to be in attack mode. This season, he is averaging just 6.6 assists against the Miami Heat. So even at 8 assists, I would say continue to take the under based on what we're seeing here. Worst case scenario, hopefully you end up in a tie or a push. But again, he has only hit more than 8 assists one time out of his last 8 games against the Miami Heat. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend staying under on Trae Young's assists. Moving forward here, taking a look at the matchup against the Miami Heat as far as assists allowed to point guards. Last 7 games, they're giving up just 8.67 assists. We've talked about this before. That means Trae Young would have to find nearly every single assist that the Miami Heat are allowing in the last 7 games to the point guard position. That's a lot to ask for Trae Young. So I think that the under is going to continue to be the move for Trae Young. He is projected for 11.1. I'm just not buying it. I really don't see him dropping 11 assists. I mean, anything could happen on any given night, right? I wish he was at 8.5, but at 8, I still feel okay about taking the under. Minus 135 under, 8.5 on a lot of these sites. So the betting public agrees. They're taking the under on Trae Young at 8 assists. What about a Miami Heat assist prop? There's not a lot of them on the board. Jimmy Butler, I guess, is one. We talked about Jimmy Butler. If you don't like the pure points for Jimmy Butler, maybe you go with an assist prop for him. Or maybe you take a fantasy prop for Jimmy Butler or a PRA prop. Let's look at Jimmy Buckets real quick. 6.5 assists in this series. He's only hit the over in 1 out of 4 games. That was game 3. Finished with 8 assists. This season, 7 matchups against the Atlanta Hawks. He's hit the over in just 3 out of 7. So 43% hit rate. Not very good. So I guess just based on hit rates alone, you'd probably want to lean toward the under here, right? Against Atlanta this season, he's averaging 5.7 assists across 7 games. So he's had a floor of 4 assists in this series. He's had a ceiling of 8 assists. Are you guys liking the over or under on Jimmy Butler at 6.5 assists? At just a 25% hit rate in this series so far. I guess I would have to lean toward the under, right? He does have sort of that, I guess you could say, assist upside. But he's not doing it consistently or anything like that. The matchup against Atlanta against small forwards, giving up just 3.1 assists in the last 7 games. That is the 7th fewest. So on paper, the matchup is not great. Not great at all. Moving ahead here, getting you a projection on Jimmy Butler and his assists. 6.2, so that would indicate that maybe we should be thinking about the under. But I will tell you this, the betting public feeling very confident that Jimmy Butler has at least 7 dimes in him tonight. They are betting this over at minus 130, minus 134 on some sites. I just don't know if I could trust this guy. I mean, he's just hard to trust any of these guys on the Miami Heat. Miami, for me, has been a tough team to figure out all season long when it comes to player props. Really tough team to figure out. So, for me, I think that there's other ways to go for Jimmy Butler. I know the betting public's betting this thing over. But 25% hit rate in this series. Pretty low hit rates against Atlanta across all matchups against the Hawks this season. So I think, again, I'm going to keep reiterating, I think he's more of like a PRA or fantasy point play for me. So I just don't know that I can trust Jimmy Butler. You guys are talking about Herter for assists. Yeah, at 3. I think he could be a good look. We've been taking the over at 2.5. We're seeing him at 3.5 today out on the books at 3.5. Public is smashing the under on this one at 3.5. Minus 175, minus 150, minus 162. I just don't know that Herter has enough assist upside. I mean, Could he go over? Yeah. And if I was to bet this prop, I would probably say lean toward the over in this matchup. You could push, could tie, but, would that be the worst thing in the world? Not really, right? Now, Ja Morant's a guy who has seen his assist prop skyrocket here at 9.5. I mean, it seems like he started out this series at like 7.5. Now he's all the way up to 9.5. We talked about Ja Morant's points being very hard to trust. If you're wanting to play some Ja Morant tonight, maybe the way to go is his dimes. We see what he's done in the last 3 games, dropping 10, 10, and a huge 15 assist output in his last game. So overall in this series, 75% hit rate for Ja Morant at 9.5 assists. And he's riding a 3-game hit streak at going over 9.5 assists. We see Minnesota 27th in terms of assists allowed, so they do give up quite a few dimes to opposing teams. Let's just go take a look at the matchup here for point guards against the T-Wolves. You can see Minnesota sitting right there at 10.7, which is the 5th most in the last 7 games, giving up nearly 11 assists per game. So there's definitely room here for Ja Morant to go over for 10 or more assists today, right? Probably feeling better about Ja Morant's assists than I am about his points. What do you guys think? Morant for points or assists? You guys let me know. What's the better look for you? What are you guys thinking? If you had to play Ja Morant, you don't have to play him, but if you wanted to play him, how would you play him? I'm thinking the assists are probably the move. Now, as far as a projection, I do have him projected at 7.8 assists. If we bump that up, round it up to 8 assists, that's still less than 9.5, so not a favorable projection for the over on Morant. And then early this morning here, we're not seeing any line movement over or under on Ja Morant. Meaning the betting public not putting any money over or under yet. But definitely keep an eye on the lines. They will probably move throughout the day. While we're talking assists, we talked about Chris Paul's struggles when it comes to scoring the basketball. He could be another guy similar to Ja Morant, where if you're just not trusting him to score points tonight, or maybe you are, maybe you want to take the under on Chris Paul for points, but maybe you go over on his assists. Let's take a look at him. He's faced New Orleans this season a total of 6 times. He has hit the over at 12.5 in 4 out of 6. Even if we bump him down to 12, it doesn't really change anything at all. Same hit rates, 67% at 12 assists. In this series so far, he has had 10 in game 1, 14 and 14 in games 2 and 3. Game 4 had 11 assists. Do we think that the point guard has 12 or more assists up his sleeve tonight? Or does he take more of a score role tonight? Try to rebound after a 4-point game. Maybe his assists go down and his points go up as he looks to rebound after a terrible shooting night, terrible offensive night for him. What are you guys thinking about Chris Paul? Let me know. In terms of matchup, New Orleans is giving up over 10 assists per game. Again, he needs 12, preferably 13 if you're going to be taking the over on Chris Paul. So we've seen him record 14 assists in 2 different games in this series so far. So it's not out of the question. It's definitely not impossible for Chris Paul. As far as an assist projection, I've got him projected for 12.7, which is more than 12, but it's not 13.7 or anything. I know it's close. It's going to be close. Now, at 12.5 assists, we are seeing the betting public take the under, and I think I would too if he was at 12.5. At 12, I'm probably still leaning toward the under here. Because, I mean, gosh, that's a lot of assists, right? I don't know. Just don't feel super confident that he's going to go for 13. 14 has been his ceiling, so what to do? Maybe we just take the under on Chris Paul for like PRA or points and move on with our lives. I mean, that could be the option as well. JS Vocals coming through with the super chat. Appreciate the super chat as always. Never expected. Always appreciated, though, when you guys come out here with the super chats. Your question, will D'Angelo Russell get 15? Or will he stay under 20? And what does that mean for Anthony Edwards? I'm assuming you're talking about D'Angelo Russell's points, right? You're asking, will he get 15 points? What I guess you're talking. I'm not sure what you're asking. You're talking about for his point prop. Is he gonna get 15, or will he stay under 20? Well, his prop line on PrizePicks is at 16.5. We could look at D'Angelo Russell real quick and then move on to rebounds. He has been a guy who, over the regular season, was dominating in terms of scoring against the Memphis Grizzlies. But since the playoffs have started, he is a different guy, different creature, right? We saw him get 30, 28, 29, and 37 in 4 regular season games against Memphis. Since the playoffs have started, against this Memphis ball club, he's just 1 for 4. Just a 25% hit rate. I guess I would lean toward the under on D'Angelo Russell, being that the first 2 games were both played in Memphis and he had just 10 and 11 points in those games. If Karl-Anthony Towns stays out of foul trouble, more usage would probably go toward D'Angelo Russell. I'm sorry. More usage would go toward Karl-Anthony Towns. If Karl-Anthony Towns stays out of foul trouble, he'll be taking more shots, meaning less shots for D'Angelo Russell. There, that's what I wanted to say. So I think it kind of hinges on that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's been hard to trust D'Angelo Russell here in this series so far. 10, 11, and 10 in 3 out of the 4 games. He had 22 at home against Memphis. But being that this one is going to be in Memphis, I guess I would be leaning toward the under at 16.5 points. That would be probably the way that I would go. The matchup is pretty good here. Point guards against Memphis. Memphis has given up over 22 points. We look at the shooting guard spot as well because, Pat Beverly plays point. They're giving up over 21 to shooting guards. Lastly, hey there. Lastly, we will get you a projection on Russell and his points. I do have him projected for 19.4, which is more than the 16.5. At 17.5, they're betting the under. At 16.5, they're betting the over. I mean, I'm probably leaning toward the under on 16.5, being that he's playing at Memphis tonight. I guess that would be the way I would go. Anyway, let's jump ahead and look at these rebounds, all right? Which rebound props are you guys feeling the most today? Let's take a look at some of these hit rates. Appreciate all you guys being here. Speaking of hit the like button if you haven't yet. We appreciate all those likes around here. Looking at these rebound hit rates, I'm not wowed or amazed by any of them, truthfully. I mean, Jay Crowder, Anthony Edwards leading the way at a 60% hit rate. From there, it's DeAndre Ayton, Brandon Ingram, Karl-Anthony Towns, Kevin Huerter, Trae Young, and Chris Paul all at 50%. And then it drops way off. I mean, 40% hit rates in the last 10 games. Karma Pick says D-Lo is trash. I can't disagree. He has been bad. He has been bad in this playoffs. You're right. One thing that we've been doing is going at DeAndre Ayton all season with quality rebounding big men like a Jonas Valanciunas. So maybe we start things off by talking Jonas, the Jonas brother, Joval at 12.5 boards. Do we go back to him today? I think they bumped his rebound prop up from the last game. I want to say he was at 11.5 in the last one. Maybe he was at 12, but might have been at 11.5 in the last one. Let's just take a look at his game logs this season against Phoenix. More often than not, at 12.5 rebounds, he has been hitting the over this season against this Suns squad. 6 for 8. That's a strong 75% hit rate for Joval at 12.5. In this series so far, he is also holding strong at a 75% hit rate, going over 12.5 rebounds in 3 out of 4 contests. Peaking with 25. The floor for him has been 11, so he's usually a pretty solid rebounder. If you wanted to take the over on Jonas Valanciunas, I would say that's probably a decent way to go here, based on what we've seen him do against DeAndre Ayton and these Phoenix Suns, averaging over 15.4 rebounds per game against them this season across 8 games. Moving ahead, taking a look at the last 7 games. Rebounds allowed by the Phoenix Suns. They are giving up a healthy amount of boards. Jonas Valanciunas, you could go fantasy points on him as well. But Phoenix has given up over 20 rebounds per game to centers. That is the number 1 most rebounds allowed in the last 7 games. That's a ton. Fantasy points, if you wanted to go there, they're giving up over 59 fantasy points per game too. So Joe Val for fantasy, Joe Val for rebounds, probably my favorite ways to play this guy. Either way, good way to go. And then last but not least, Valanciunas projected for exactly 12.5 rebounds. We're not really seeing any line movement over or under. Not seeing a whole lot of line movement on Jonas Valanciunas, but I would be an over if nothing else. Leroy, is PJ Tucker playing tonight? You're saying he will play? Yeah, I'm liking I'm liking Chris Paul under 12.5 assists too. I'm down with that. I can get down with that. PJ Tucker for PRA. Yeah, I know he's on the board, but he's still kind of iffy, right? He's iffy. I see someone mentioning Brandon Ingram for rebounds. We're getting Ingram at 6 rebounds. You might be getting him at 5.5 depending on where you play, but let's talk about Brandon Ingram for a minute. Just having a great series so far. I think the points are probably still going to be my favorite way to play Brandon Ingram. We bump him down to 6 rebounds. He's really only hit 6 or more rebounds in 3 out of 6 contests. So not a big fan. I don't think of Brandon Ingram at his rebound prop. Like, obviously he could do it. He's projected at 6.7 at 6.5. Huge betting favorite to go under at -160, -155. So yeah, I don't think I'm looking at Brandon Ingram for a rebound prop. Some of you guys have been taking some Karl Anthony Towns rebounds. I liked him better at 9.5, 10.5 still doable. Again, with all things Karl Anthony Towns, it's all about the foul trouble. If he stays out of foul trouble, he'll have a good shot of hitting all of his props, really. I mean, super talented guy, probably like a top 5 center in the NBA. But he's got to, stay out on the floor. He can't get rebounds when he's over on the bench. I got Everyday Fantasy saying Jimmy Butler under 7.5 rebounds is the move. Let's take a look at Jimmy Butler again. We've talked about Butler for a couple of different things today. You're saying going under on Jimmy Butler's the move, but do you feel great about doing that based on what you've seen in the last 2 games where he's pulled in 10 boards in back-to-back games against this Hawks squad? Overall this season, he has covered 7.5 boards in just 3 out of 7. It's a 43% hit rate for Jimmy Buckets. In this series, he is 2 for 4. 50% hit rate. Again, I'm going to keep saying it. If you're wanting to play an over on Jimmy Butler, I really think the PRA or fantasy scores are the most friendly play out of them all. As far as the matchup goes, Atlanta against small forwards, they're giving up over 8 rebounds per game. So he'd have to find darn near every rebound that Atlanta's been giving up over the last 7 games. Projection for Jimmy Butler, just 6.7, not a favorable one. At 7.5 boards, it looks like the betting public is smashing the under here on Jimmy Butler. So the projections have him going under. The betting public, they're also taking the under. He's got a pretty low hit rate here, but has pulled in 10 rebounds in back-to-back games. Trey Prince is saying that the move is Jimmy Butler for fantasy points. I kind of agree with you there, man. I am not mad at you taking Jimmy Butler for fantasy. These playoffs have been weird, though, haven't they, man? It's just like very unpredictable. Never sure what's going to happen. Anyway, let's talk about PRA. Let's see who's been hitting their PRA props. We'll keep this thing moving for you guys. Won't keep you here too long, but Trae Young at 36.5 PRA today over on PrizePicks. I'll tell you this, at 37.5 PRA, he's got a 70% hit rate. That's kind of eye-catching. 70%'s nice. Herb Jones at 14.5. 14.5 PRA. He's got a 70% hit rate. Mr. Herbert Jones here. Kevin Huerter's PRA has been one that people have talked about in previous games in this series. He's at 18.5 on the book, 17.5 over on PrizePicks. He's got a 60% hit rate. Everybody else on the board today is at 50% or worse hit rates for their PRA. Gabriel says when he has 5 boards at halftime, don't cry. You talking about Jimmy Butler? What's up, Michael? Thanks for being here. So, Trae Young, PRA, I mean, we've been talking a lot of unders on Trae Young, but he is leading the way today in terms of hit rate on the PRA. So, let's talk about Ice Trae Young. Ice Trae Young at 36.5 PRA. The last 10 games have been good to him, but when we take a look at what he's done in this series so far and against Miami this season, the hit rates tell a different tale. He has only covered 36.5 PRA in 1 out of 4 games in this series. That's a 25% hit rate versus Miami. That ain't good. And his hit rates this season at 36.5 PRA, 38% against the Miami Heat. 3 for 8. Overall, he is averaging an abysmal 31.1 PRA versus the Miami Heat. So don't be fooled by those last 10 game hit rates, all right? You got to dig in a little bit deeper, see what he's done against Miami in this series, what he's done against them this season. The under's probably still the move. So sometimes you got to dig a little deeper. Don't go to props.cash, look at the last 10 games and fall in love with Trae Young and his hit rates. I think if you've been paying attention to this series, you know Trae Young has had his struggles against the Miami Heat. Miami allowing 21 points to point guards, about 5 boards. That's 26 or 27. We sprinkle in some assists on top of that. He's sitting right around 35, 36 PRA. It's a tough matchup, all right? He's going to need 37. They're giving up less than 37 PRA. So tread lightly if you're planning on taking the overs. Guys, get a load of this projection. Get a load of this projection, man. They've got Trae Young projected for 48.4 PRA. 48.4 PRA for Trae Young. Is that projection just totally wonky or what? I would bet a lot of money. I think I would bet a lot of money that Trae Young does not find 48 PRA tonight. Ain't no way. What has been the most PRA he's had against Miami? He hasn't hit 48 PRA against Miami this season once. 45 has been the absolute most. Even if we go back to last season and look at that. I mean, dude has not touched 48 PRA in the last 2 seasons against Miami. I don't know about that projection, gang. I don't know about that. He had 15 PRA in the last game. And now all of a sudden he's going to get 48 PRA. I got to veto. I got to veto that projection, man. Strongly disagree with that 48.4 PRA. He might have a good game, but ain't no way he's getting 48 PRA. No, we're throwing that one away. Anyway, at 37.5 PRA, that's where you're going to find him out on the sports books today. He is a betting favorite to go under, minus 120, minus 115, even minus 139 on some of these books. That's stupid high, man. Trae Young's PRA way too high. That projection of 48.4, nah, fam. I cannot get on board with that. We've been talking Jimmy Butler a lot, man, and it's been kind of mixed signals. What to do with Jimmy Butler? Do we feel good about his points? Do we feel good about his rebounds, his assists? Hard to figure out Jimmy Butler. Hard to figure out the Heat in general. Like I was trying to say earlier, just never really know which Jimmy Butler you're going to get. Never really know which Hawks you're going to get. I'm sorry, which Heat players, rather, you're going to get. Will it be a Bam Adebayo type of game? I mean, they got Strus in there, no Kyle Lowry. Tyler Herro's had some big games. Just, I don't like taking Miami Heat props. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. But Jimmy Butler, even at 39.5 PRA, not looking super sweet. 29%, but he is 2 for 4 in this series. He's had highs of 55 and 50 PRA, so we know what he's capable of. Lows of 31, 38. So I would probably say fantasy. Fantasy for Jimmy Butler would probably be maybe the better way to go. Let's just look at it real quick. Butler, 48 fantasy points, has hit in 3 straight games. That's really nice. PRA, 2 out of 4. So he's 3 out of 4 on the fantasy, so I'd probably lean toward taking the fantasy points for Jimmy Butler. Got him projected for 45.97, so even at 45.97, we round that up to 46. He's still kind of going to be projected to fall short of 48. I'm just going to stay away from Jimmy Butler. I just am. I got to stay away from this guy. I never get him right. I never can figure Jimmy Butler out. And again, that goes for all the other Miami Heat too. So I just don't think I'm going to go there. But if you do want to go there, I have him projected for 37.3 PRA. His line is at 39.5 out on the sports books. At 39.5, we're seeing people bet the over. At 40.5. At 40.5, we're seeing people bet the over. So they're smacking the over at 39.5 and at 40.5 PRA. But again, I just never know with this guy. I'm going to stay away from it. Playoff Jimmy's different. He might be different. I'll find out the easy way by not putting any money on Jimmy Butler tonight. I'll just be an observer, a fan, a watcher. I ain't going to find out the hard way. Tony Ruiz says, smack that like button. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know how they came up with Trae Young at that PRA prop, man. Let's go through it. I mean, we could go through it prop by prop here. They got Trae going for 33 points, so that's part of it, right? They got him going for 4.3 rebounds and 11.1 assists. I mean, this would have to be Trae Young just having the game of his life, going nuclear tonight. I don't know, man. I just don't see that happening. 33 points and 11 assists. He's going to have to just go bonkers. Just go crazy. Yeah, we ain't trusting that. Anyway, what about some other guys here? We've talked about Karl Anthony Towns and his foul trouble. Karl Anthony Towns can stay out on the floor. I think he makes for a fine PRA or fantasy point option. The games in which he has stayed clean in terms of fouls, he has hit the over on his PRA pretty easily. 45 in game 1, 50 PRA in game 4. So if he's out there getting 40 plus minutes like we talked about before, the PRA, the point, everything will come easy for Karl Anthony Towns. These lines are very low for Karl Anthony Towns today. Very low. So if you believe he stays out of foul trouble, then you'd probably want to take some overs on Karl Anthony Towns. But fouls are very unpredictable. If you can figure out how to project or predict fouls, you guys let me know. His projection, Karl Anthony Towns PRA 43.5. So very favorable projection for Cat. Charles, I don't know that I want to take anything from the Miami Heat game. I don't know. I don't know that I'm loving it, man. I might fade it or just throw something light at it, possibly. I just ain't feeling it, man. Not feeling that one whatsoever. We talked about Chris Paul and going under on Chris Paul's PRA as long as Devin Booker is out. That's been the move more often than not, to go under Chris Paul's points or PRA and all that. So let's show you what I'm talking about here for Chris Paul. He's at 37.5 PRA. Let's go to the season view on props.cash. If you want to save 25% off your first month of props.cash, code Curry can help you do that. There's a link down in the description below. Devin Booker, though, this season, when he is off the floor, Chris Paul just 2 for 10 at covering 37.5 PRA. 2 for 10, 20% hit rate for Chris Paul at 37.5 PRA without Devin Booker. That is a 28.1 PRA average. So not very good. So if you wanted to go under on Chris Paul's PRA, I would say go for it, man. I would not stop you. I would not tell you to think twice. His projected PRA is 35.6, which is less than 37.5. And we're seeing him being bet under on a lot of these sites at 37.5 PRA. So feel good, about taking that under on Chris Paul's PRA. Let's move it forward here. Talk about some 3-point makes. We've already talked about Anthony Edwards, who is now a perfect 4 for 4 in this series in covering his 3-point makes. Let's take a look at some of these other guys who's been dropping some threes. You got Herb Jones at 0.5 3-point makes, 70% hit rate. There's Anthony Edwards over the last 10, 70% hit rate for him. Jimmy Butler, not up on the board, but if they put him up at 0.5 3-point makes, he does have a 70% hit rate there. Trae Young at 2.5 3-point makes. He's at 3 on PrizePicks, 2.5, 60% hit rate. DeAndre Hunter at 1.5, 60% hit rate. Everybody else is at 50% or worse. Let's look at the last 5. There you go. Last 5 might be the more accurate way to go from here on out. But yeah, Ant Edwards, 100% hit rate in his last 5. Hunter, 60%. Bane at 60%. Dillon Brooks, 60%. CJ McCollum, 60%. So, a few different ways to go. But yes, I think Ant Edwards could be one of those props where you just keep going back to it. Keep riding the hot hand until he lets you down. In case you guys are just getting here, maybe you missed it. We talked about Anthony Edwards and his 3-point prop. Last 8 games against the Memphis Grizzlies. He has gone over in 7 out of 8. So he makes a lot of threes. A lot of threes against this Memphis Grizzlies team. Averaging 3.8 against the Grizzlies. 4 seems to be the magic number more often than not. We see what he's done in this series. Game 1, 4. Game 2, 4. Game 3, 4. Game 4, 4. So, as long as he keeps attempting 10 or more 3-point makes, he's been at like 11, 10, 9, 8. Hopefully that number perks back up and it's not a trend where, he's going to shoot 7 tonight. But as long as he keeps shooting a healthy amount of threes, I think we'll be fine with taking the over. Looking ahead here at the small forward position. Small forwards versus Memphis. Memphis giving up 4.6 3-point makes over the last 7 games. So plenty of threes allowed by this Grizzlies ball club. And then a projection, I've got it projected for exactly 3.5 3-point makes. So you could go there. I think he makes for a fine play. Karma Picks is saying Pat Beverly under 3-point makes. Beverly under 3-point makes. Let's take a look at him. Not really known as a knockdown shooter. Yeah, his hit logs are just kind of all over the place versus Memphis. In this series, he is 2 for 4 or 50%. For the season against Memphis, he's also 50%, 4 for 8. So there's a little bit about Pat Beverly for you. Point guards, as far as 3-point makes against the Memphis Grizzlies, Memphis give it up 3.4 3-point makes to point guards in the last 7 games. And lastly, he is projected for 1.8, but is a betting favorite to go under 1.5, minus 120. Someone is saying CJ McCollum. Mr. David saying McCollum's attempts from 3 are high. He's going back to it. He's probably going to be pairing it with Anthony Edwards' 3-point makes and calling it a day. Let's talk about CJ McCollum here. We kind of hinted at McCollum earlier, saying if you didn't feel great about McCollum's points, maybe you try him out for 3-point makes. Against Phoenix this season, he is 5 for 8 at covering 2.5. In this series so far, games 1, 2, and 3, he went over. Game 4 against Phoenix, it was death by hook. He finished with 2 3-point makes in that one. But taking a look at the attempts for CJ McCollum, he's attempting 8, 10, 11, 9. So he's floating right around 9 or 10 3-point field goal attempts. He just had a really bad shooting night the last time he took the floor. 2 for 9. Not ideal, just 22%. But yeah, if he's going to keep shooting 9 to 10 3-pointers per game and he's at 2.5, I think we go back to a prop after it flopped. Bars. I think we do it. So I'm definitely getting down with what David's saying here. We look at Phoenix over the last 7 games, giving up over 3.7 3-point makes to opposing point guards. That's the 5th highest average per game. And then I got McCollum projected for 3.1. That's more than 2.5. He is a betting favorite at minus 130 to go over. Jeremiah, you're liking some Strus. Max Strus for his 3-point prop. Let's look at it. Strus, definitely a marksman, right? Definitely a 3-point specialist, so to say. He's at exactly 3 today. When we bump him down to 3 and we take a look at his previous games against Atlanta, he has hit 3 or better in 6 out of 8 games. That is a nice little hit rate for him there. In this series, he is now 75% at hitting 3 or more threes against this Atlanta Hawks squad. Game 1, not so good for him, but since then, he's hit 3, 5, and 4 in the last 3 games. His minutes have kind of been hard to trust. They've been all over the place, but I guess 20 minutes are guaranteed for him. 25, probably doable. Will he get 30 minutes? That's when it's, a little more questionable. We're starting to see his 3-point attempts go up and up and up in this series. Game 1, just 5 attempts from beyond the arc. Then he shoots up to 8, then 10, then 14 in his last game. If he's shooting 8 to 10 threes tonight, then I like his chances of hitting at least 3 of those. Because he shoots a pretty good percentage most of the time. So I like some Max Strus at 3-point makes. I think that could be a good solid look. Taking a look at a projection for him. He is projected for 3.6. He's at 3.5 3-point makes out on your favorite sports books. Being bet heavily on the under at 3.5. Minus 150 to go under. Julian, if I was going to play Jimmy Butler tonight, I would probably say his fantasy points would be my favorite way to play him. So that would probably be the move for me. So yeah, I think we talked about some pretty good 3-point props here. We got Strus sitting out there at 3. He's looking good. Ant Edwards at 3.5. He's going to be a strong option. He's hit the 4 3-point make mark in every game in the series so far. CJ McCollum had a poor shooting night, 2 for 9 the last time he took the floor. I think we could go back to him, though. I think he's a good go-back type of player. So those are looking pretty good. Free throw makes, well, really hard to predict these, right? Never know what could happen. All I can tell you is this. Go for the guys that are in high usage spots. So your Trae Youngs of the world, right? He's a high usage guy. Jimmy Butler, high usage. Ja got a lot of calls in game one, has seen his free throw makes sort of drop off since then. Don't know that I feel completely confident about him. Every time I see McCollum at 2.5 free throw makes, I'm like, man, can this dude just get to the free throw line twice and knock down 3 out of 4? It seems very doable. Seems very doable, right? Kind of like that one. Brandon Ingram's been on the attack the last few games. You could go BI for some free throw makes. Wouldn't be too mad at you for doing that. But yeah, you want the high usage guys. You want the designated technical free throw shooters. You want the guys that in late game situations when it's crunch time and the intentional fouls start coming out that, the team's going to force the basketball in their hands, right? Guy like Trae Young, even though they'll probably get blown out tonight. Sorry, Atlanta Hawks fans, but they might get blown out tonight. So I don't know that Trae Young's going to be in any intentional foul situations at the end of the game. But that's ideally what you want. You want those guys who are going to have the basketball, be aggressive, get to the free throw line. When they get those opportunities, they're going to knock them down. As far as blocks and steals, we've got a healthy amount of different blocks and steals props to choose from today. Let's look at the last 5 game hit rates here for these blocks and steals props. You got Bam Adebayo up at 2. Over the last 5 games at 1.5, he's got a 60% hit rate. That's not terrible. We got Ja Morant up here sitting at 1.5. Morant, just a 20% hit rate. Don't love that. Desmond Bane, his teammate, also at a 20% hit rate on his 1.5 stocks, steals, and blocks. Patrick Beverley from the same game here. At 2.5, he's got a 20% hit rate. Again, don't love that. Not great hit rates for any of these. That's why I don't play a lot of these. So unpredictable, right? Just wild. You never know what to expect. Got to get lucky here a little bit. Jared Vanderbilt, 40% hit rate at 1.5. Let's flip it over to the Phoenix game. Look at some of these dudes. We got Chris Paul at 1.5. He's got a 60% hit rate at 1.5. But we're getting him at 2 today on PrizePicks. Higher number. Could push. DeAndre Ayton also at 1.5, sitting at 2, once again over on PrizePicks. So another situation where we might end up in a push. And then we got Mikal Bridges at 1.5. He's also at a 60% hit rate over the last 5 games. This is the one that, the only one that may not push. So if you're looking for a clean win or a clean loss, Mikal Bridges is probably the way you go. Always pee when poo. Not always poo. When pee. Says, what's up? Bang that like button, people. What's up, Moody Clips? Good to see you back here again. Cameron, shout out to you. But yeah, don't go crazy with any of these blocks and steals props. Jeremiah, I think I like Jimmy Butler's hit rates for the fantasy a little bit more than the PRA. Yeah, I pay for props.cash. I do. Clutch too real. I think to get the results you're wanting, I think you're going to have to pay for props.cash. They give you like a limited, trial, I guess you could say, on props.cash, but yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it, man. We managed to keep it at a 1 hour and 35 minute mark. Moody says, I'm in Tampa right now. Shout out to the 813. Tampa represent. Appreciate all you guys. Listen, make sure that you're active in the official PrizePicks Discord when these taco voting opportunities come up. We want to make sure that we're voting on good quality players in good quality spots and good quality props, right? We want the best tacos served up on a silver platter as we can get. So make sure that you're doing your due diligence, putting a little bit of thought before you click your favorite player and your favorite prop for these tacos, all right? Let's try to get the best tacos possible. And on top of that, Appreciate all your support. If you're in Patreon, if you're in Discord, we'll be taking a look at some more NBA player prop. We'll continue the discussion there. We'll be also looking at MLB. MLB's been very good to us, so we'll keep the MLB action going as well. That's what I'll be doing all summer long. Once the NBA wraps up, it's all MLB for me. I'll probably be digging in even more, and playing MLB props on the daily. But that's about it, man. Appreciate all the support. Thank you so much for the likes, the subs, the super chats, everything that you guys do. Good luck tonight on your entries. Be on the lookout for those tacos. Until next time.